everyone, and welcome back to Lost Planeswalker. You're here with me, Jesse, the Lost Planeswalker, and today I have the final Commander Deck Tech Upgrade Guide with Stella Lee Wildcard. This is a very interesting commander, and I'm very excited to talk about her, so let's start out and read what Stella Lee Wildcard does. So for 1 blue and a red, legendary creature, human rogue, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that spell, and tap, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if you cast 3 or more spells this turn. And she's a 2/4. So this deck was all about, casting a bunch of little things and getting some big payoffs. So I think that's exactly what Stella Lee Wildcard does and is very cool. But let's look at that other co-commander, see if maybe you should be running this card instead. We have Iris, Roar of the Storm, 8 blue red, 10 mana commander, legendary creature, elemental warlock. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each different mana value among instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. It has flying and prowess, and whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 4/4 red dragon elemental creature token with flying and prowess. Both of these are very powerful cards, but I think the main commander of this deck, Stella Lee Wildcard, is what I would choose to stick with. Iris, Roar of the Storm seems very, very good and can give you some giant dragons that just get bigger and bigger, but I think Stella here is going to be more versatile. You're going to get her out sooner, and you're going to get some real big benefits earlier in the game, and you're going to continue to. So the new cards in this deck, we got 9, excluding her commander, we got 10, including her, but we have Crackling Spellslinger, Elemental Eruption, and Iris, Roar of the Storm. So Crackling Spellslinger is 3 red creature, human wizard with flash. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, the next instant sorcery card you cast this turn has Storm. That seems pretty powerful. Giving, any instant sorcery card we cast Storm is pretty great. It is 5 mana to cast her, so you're gonna have a lot of mana, but that seems pretty good. Elemental Eruption is 4 red sorcery. Create a 4/4 red dragon elemental creature token with flying and prowess, and this also has Storm, so who knows how many of those dragons you're going to create. In addition, they're all going to kind of get bigger and bigger, so I love that whenever you cast a spell. And we already read Iris, Roar of the Storm, so let's move on to our next 3 with Forager's Foundry, Leyline Dowser, and Lock and Load. Forager's Foundry is 2 in a blue artifact. Tap, add blue. When you spend this mana to cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 3 or less, you may exile that spell instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard as it resolves. Then for 3 blue, tap, you may cast any number of spells from among cards exiled with Forager's Foundry without paying their mana cost. Activate only as a sorcery. Basically here, once per turn, you just load up a spell in here, and then when you want to go and storm off, you cast a bunch of these spells, and you can just cast your next storm spell, and maybe you're going to get some really good value. This seems pretty cool, and I'd like to see more people playing it. Leyline Dowser is 2 generic artifact, 1 in tap, mill a card. You may put an instant or sorcery card milled this way into your hand. Tap an untapped legendary creature you control. Untap Leyline Dowser. So this is a cool way to, mill a bunch of cards and put some instant sorceries into your hand. Lock and Load, 2 in a blue. Sorcery, draw a card, then draw a card for each other instant and sorcery spell you've cast this turn. And it has Plot. So Plot is very cool because it lets you exile it when you pay its plot cost and cast it for free on a later turn. So if you cast 4 or 5 spells, cast this for 0 after you plotted it, draw a card, and then cast 4 or 5 more cards. And lastly, we have Pyretic Charge, Smoldering Stagecoach, and Thunderclap Drake. So Pyretic Charge is 4 in a red sorcery. Discard your hand, then draw 4 cards. For each card discarded this way, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn, and this also has Plot. I think that this is a cool effect because you discard first, meaning if you have 0 cards in your hand, you don't have to, actually discard anything, and then you just draw 4 cards, but you don't get the buff as well. So depending on how you want to play this card, there's some cool versatility there. Smoldering Stagecoach is 3 in a red artifact vehicle. When Smoldering Stagecoach's power is equal to the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard, when it attacks, the next instant and the next sorcery spell you cast this turn each have Cascade, which is pretty powerful. And Thunderclap Drake is 1 in a blue creature Drake with flying. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. We love cards that discount our instant sorceries. And for 2 in a blue, sack this. When you cast your next instant or sorcery card this turn, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. That seems pretty cool. I think you're going to get some big benefits from Stella, but Iris here, could get discounted above her commander cost and continue to stay 1 in a blue, so it might be worthwhile to cast her as well. So here's the thing about this deck. I love this deck. If I was to build this deck, I would probably use 99% of the same cards they put in this deck. I think it's very good. I think it's very powerful. And I think anybody who plays this is going to be extremely happy. So I really couldn't cut any cards from this deck. I think it's 100% playable. I think it's 100% really powerful. So I would actually just say that I'm going to give you some cards. And if you want to upgrade this deck, go for it. But I think this deck is pretty perfect the way that they have it. There's a lot of really good stuff in it, and you'll see that here. But before I talk about those brand new cards I think you should put in this deck, I just want to say, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. It would just mean the world to me. So those brand new cards, we got 15 here because I just thought there was a ton of great spells that care about you casting one or more things per turn and give you a ton of value. So starting out, we have Breaches the Blast Maker, Brimstone Roundup, Jorian, Rune Diver. So Breaches the Blast Maker is 1 blue red legendary creature goblin pirate with menace. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you may sack an artifact. If you do, flip a coin. When you win the flip, copy that spell. You may choose a new target for the copy. When you lose a flip, Breaches the Blast Maker deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. So I don't know how many artifacts we're going to be making this deck, and I think you could make some more, to really get this effect popping off, but I think it's a very cool effect to kind of give you some versatility. Brimstone Roundup is 1 and a red enchantment. When you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token, and you can also plot it for 2 and a red, so I like that effect. And Jorian Rune Diver is 1 blue red legendary creature merfolk wizard. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card. That's an effect we love to do, and the next 3 cards are also going to care about that. We have Karam, Ludwig's Opus, Karam Violent Cacophony, and Ledger Shredder. So first off, Karam's Ludwig's Opus is 3 blue red legendary creature zombie horror with flying and haste, and whenever an opponent casts his or her second spell each turn, draw a card. But then here we have Karam Violent Cacophony, 2 blue red legendary creature zombie horror with flying. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Karam Violent Cacophony and draw a card. And Ledger Shredder, 1 and a blue creature bird advisor with flying. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Ledger Shredder connives. So this is you or your opponents, and you get to put some stuff in the bin and maybe make Ledger Shredder better. Lone Shark, Malcolm the Eyes, and Plarg and Asari are next. Lone Shark is 3 and a red creature shark rogue. When Lone Shark enters the battlefield, if you cast 2 or more spells this turn, draw a card. Obviously, if you plot this, then you cast 2 or more spells and play this for free, you're going to be drawing a card. Malcolm the Eyes is a blue and a red legendary creature siren pirate with flying and haste. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, investigate. There you go. There are the tokens you need for Breaches. And Plarg and Asari are 3 red legendary creature orc Efrit. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. An opponent chooses a non-land card exiled this way. You may cast up to 2 spells from among the other cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. Well, there's 2 spells for free right there. So next, we have Razzle Dazzler, Saruman the White, and Shackle Slinger. Razzle Dazzle is 1 and a blue creature human wizard with whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Razzle Dazzler. It can't be blocked this turn. Make your creature big and make him unblockable. Saruman the White is 4 and a blue legendary creature avatar wizard with War 2. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, amass orcs 2. So just make that army bigger and bigger every turn. Shackle Slinger, 2 and a blue creature human soldier. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, choose target creature an opponent controls. If it's tapped, put a stun counter on it, otherwise tap it. Great way to keep your opponent's stuff down, or just tap it down in order for you to swing in. And the last 3 cards I have here are Sorcery Class, Thunder Drake, and Tomb of Horrors Adventurer. So Sorcerer Class here I think is a really great card. For a blue and a red, you get, when it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. For a blue and a red, to get to level 2, creatures you control have tap to add blue or red, spend this mana only to cast instant and sorcery spells, or to gain a class level, which is also very cool. And then at level 3, we have whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of instant sorcery spells you've cast this turn. This sorcery class spell just seems like it was made for everything we want to do in this deck, so I think it's a really cool card you might want to include. Thunder Drake here is 3 and a blue creature elemental drake with flying. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And Tomb of Horrors Adventure is 5 and a blue creature elf monk with when this enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. And whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it. If you've completed a dungeon, copy that spell twice instead. You may choose new targets for the copy. I love this card. It just is insane because you're like, well, if I'm going to get my best thing, I might as well get 2 of my best things while I'm doing it. So that is it. I hope you liked the cards I decided to include. This deck was a little different, and I hope that's okay with you guys, but there was just so many cool cards to add, and this deck was just solid as it was. I'm very excited. I pre-ordered this deck, and I'm not going to change a thing. I'm just going to play it exactly like it is because I think it's really cool and going to be very fun to play. So with that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments down below what cards you would have added or cut. Do you agree with me? Check out the deck list in the description below. Is this deck, good as is, or is there really some bad things in it that you're like, why in the world would you play this card? There's so many other better things to play. In addition, if you would please leave a like, share this video with a friend, and subscribe, that would mean the world to me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And today's Scryfall card of the day is actually a new one. It's Savvy Trader. A little dirt doesn't indicate quality with goods or with people. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you later, Planeswalkers.